Hello everybody and welcome to my playthrough of one of my favorite Sierra games, Quest for Glory, or what was known before they got sued, Heroes Quest. So this is part of a rich tradition of 80s and 90s games that were on the PC and Amiga games that pretty much you had to use the keyboard almost exclusively for, and they later introduced the mouse. On this version, I do have the mouse, but I'm not really going to use it because that's not what I grew up with. There's lots of little in-jokes with this game, and it's one of the first real RPGs. It reminds you in this first screen here about the copyright. And then we get the screen. One of the things that made this game really ingenuitive is the fact that you could pick from multiple classes, meaning that you could be either one of three, or you can actually, as I'm going to show you, you can kind of like mix and match the classes and cross-class them into like a hybrid and really maximize your experience. So I'm going to play the intro. Bring the sound down just a little bit. Cool dragon. Now, a few little notes here. The game was called Heroes Quest initially, and it was made by Ken Williams and Sierra, the same company that made Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry here, and King's Quest, and all of those games. So here's the, little credits for all of those that are interested. But what made the game really interesting was the fact that later on it got sued, and some people might actually be familiar with the product that they were sued by, and that is a board game called Hero Quest. Not Heroes Quest, but Hero Quest. And so what they did on later installments of the game and the following sequels, what they did was they actually called it Quest for Glory, or QFG as the fans call it. Alright, so now I'm up to the point where I'm going to choose a character. So I almost always choose the fighter. But what I do is, as you're going to see, I kind of cheat. And I'll name myself, what'll I name myself? I hadn't actually thought about that. Why not? I'll name myself Matches. And what you do now is you have points that you can distribute throughout all of your abilities here, and that basically is what makes the RPG element so prevalent in this game. What you can do now is, where your strength is 25, whenever you do anything that requires strength, like fighting, it'll raise your strength. And when you do anything with intelligence, involving puzzling and solving anything that needs your brain or wit, that'll raise your intelligence. So for anything that involves dodging, running, climbing, that'll raise your agility. Vitality is something that I think is just naturally rises over time, and it determines your health points. Luck is another thing I think that is just raises over time, and basically is a determiner of how many attempts it will take for you to do something successfully. Weapon use is basically how efficient you are. Parrying is kind of self-explanatory. It's for your parry and your ability to deflect, dodging, also self-explanatory, getting out of the way of being attacked. Stealth, okay, so stealth is now the first stat we see that we don't have. So when you are a thief, you automatically come with stealth. And if you type in sneak, your character will get all scrunched up and sneaky looking, and you'll start walking really slow. So since I don't have stealth, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the very minimum I can into stealth. Now you'll notice I only put 5 points into stealth, but it actually cost me 15 points to put those 5 points into stealth because it's a cross-class skill. Now, pick locks, same thing. It's going to cost me another 15 points to pick locks because as a fighter, which is the archetype of that I've chosen, obviously I'm not going to come with a lock picking set, so I'm going to have to add another 15 points to give myself the 5 points in picking locks. Throwing is something that everybody comes with. Climbing, I don't start off with because I think you only start off with it as a... Yeah, I think you started off with it as a thief, but you can actually get better at climbing. Now magic is the last thing, and I'm going to just put those points into magic so I can actually use magic. Now if I didn't put any points into stealth, picking locks, and magic, I would never be able to do those things. Basically, I'm giving it a shove in the right direction. That way I can experience all different facets of the game. Because the way the game is designed is so you can solve every puzzle 3 different ways. So when you're a fighter, you basically use brute force to go through something. When you're a thief, you can use ingenuity or sneak around something. And when you're a magic user, you obviously can use a spell or something like that. So that's it. I only have 5 points left, so I can't put it into climbing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it into my magic, because grinding in this game is something, unfortunately, that you have to do, and getting your magic skill up can be very tedious and boring. So after that, I'm basically just going to start the game. I'm going to mention that there is a Sound Blaster option on older computers that had a kind of background music or a soundtrack that I don't have in this version of the game. Now, unfortunately, I do have kind of like a low-grade, low-res sound input in this game, but it's still better than nothing. When I was a kid, I had absolutely no sound, but just wanted to let you know. You will hear sound effects, but you're not going to hear the really beautiful, vibrant sound that some people had, and the Amiga also had it. So anyway, this seems like a quiet town. On the porch ahead of you are 2 people. The standing one is large, rather ugly, and playing with a yo-yo. The seated person smoking a pipe looks like he might be the sheriff. The man with the pipe greets you. Welcome to our town. You are lucky to have made it down from the mountains before the snow blocked the pass again. It's gotten pretty dangerous outside of town, I understand. Many monsters have been trapped around here with the late snow. Between them and the brigands, we certainly could use a hero around here. I am Sheriff Schultz Meisterson. This is Otto von Goon, my assistant. What do you call yourself? Now, at this point, I guess if you didn't like this name you gave yourself, you could call yourself something else, but I'm just going to stick with Matches. Good luck in your quest, Matches. Okay, so I'm going to go over the interface real quick. Now again, I told you I do have the mouse, so I could use it. Basically, using the mouse would be, if I clicked over here, I'd walk over here. If I right-clicked, it's the same as the look, so by right-clicking, it would do what look would do. So it says, Schultz appears to be an affable old coot, content to smoke his pipe. There's a hardness behind his eyes, however, that gives you reason to believe that he's no pushover. There's more than a hint of ogre about this strange and bulky character. He seems cheerful, though. But that's about it. That's all I'm going to do with the mouse, because, honestly, I'm just very used to using the arrow keys. Tab brings up your inventory, and right now all I'm carrying is 5 food rations, 1 broadsword, a leather armor, and a shield. Over here I have my 4 gold coins, my 10 silver coins. It tells you how much you can carry, how much you are carrying, and as you notice I do have the ability to cast spells. They don't start you off with a lockpick, but I'm gonna have to get myself one. So then, if I press escape, it'll bring up the menus on the top. Now if I hit about, it'll tell me about the game. Help will get me through the menus. Now the save game feature is probably the most important feature in the game, because this is the type of game where if you don't save often and you don't save well, you're gonna die and you're gonna be screwed. Restore is to bring back a save game. Restart is if you want to go back to the beginning, and quit is when you're done playing. And everything else that's on these all have shortcuts, but I'll go through them anyway. Faster animation and slower animation, you can use the plus and minus keys on the number pad, which I'm actually gonna do because I don't like the normal game speed. Control V changes the sound volume and all that, but it's 2018, so I can do that right on my keyboard or over on my speakers. Control C, Control F, Control E is for casting spells, fighting, escaping. These are all just so you don't have to keep typing things over and over again. Your inventory is over here too. If you want to look at your character sheet, it's Control S. That actually I do use sometimes. I also use these like Control T, which is asking the time and day. Control A is ask about, L look at, stuff like that. So I am going to speed up the animation a little bit. And now I'm walking a little faster. Now the thing about the speeding up the animation is it speeds up everything, not just you. So if someone throws a rock at you, it's going to come at you extra fast. So you're going to also have to have pretty good reflexes. Okay? Now you'll notice there's a score up here. The score basically is the maximum score that you can achieve in the game. So if you want to get a max score, that means that you have to solve all the puzzles, kill all the monsters, ask all the questions, and do every little thing in the game to get the highest possible score. And hopefully, if you watch all these videos, you'll follow through and see everything you can do. And the first thing you do is to ask questions. So if you just start typing on the keyboard, this little thing should pop up, and I'm going to type in ask about town. He says, just walk around and find out for yourself. Now, even though he didn't really give me a great answer, I'm going to ask him another question. Ask about Otto. Otto is a big help to me, the sheriff tells you. He's very smart for a goon. His prisoners only suffer a few broken bones when he grabs them. It took a bit of doing to teach him to bring prisoners back alive, but he hardly ever forgets now. Ha ha ha. There's a lot of humor in this game, especially humor for Monty Python and the Marx Brothers. So if you're familiar in those two, you'll get a huge kick out of this game. So you notice I just got a point for asking a question that had a decent answer. So I'll ask one more. Ask about, there's a brigand problem or something? Brigands. There's a whole band of brigands hiding out somewhere in the mountains around us. They robbed a merchant just last week. Got a fair amount of treasure right here. Alright, didn't seem to get anything out of that one. Okay. Well, I'm going to explore the town now, but before I do, I'm going to save my game. It's good to definitely go to this menu. Now, if you have a bunch of save slots, you're going to have to replace them with old ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this matches new. And now this is where I'm at. So if I decide to go out into town and be bold and die, or if I decide to pick a fight with the sheriff, let's see what happens. Pick fight. I'm not sure what you're trying to do. Okay. So I'm going to fight Otto. Despite your intentions, you feel a calmness and a sense of peace descend upon you, even as you consider thoughts of violence. How about draw a sword? I'm not sure what you're trying to do. Kill. Okay. Well, it's obvious that they don't want you to do anything too malicious when you're in town. So, maybe next time I can show you some good death animation. But anyway, this is all I'm going to do for this time. Tune in next time and we will explore the town of Spielberg. Thanks.